Yeah, hi, my name is Ron Petrinovich, and I'd like to talk to you today a little bit about retirement, your retirement. First thing I'll say is I don't give tax advice or legal advice. I'm not a CPA or an attorney, but I've got some good news for you. First thing, a couple of years ago, Time Magazine came out and said, the ugly truth is that the 401k is a lousy product, a financial flop, and not that good of a place, a rotten repository for retirement money. What I want to talk to you today about is an opportunity for you to take your retirement dollars and opt out of the tax system. So how do we do that? That sounds pretty good. Before we get there, Demos, a government-sponsored organization, came out a few months ago with a report on the hidden and excess cost of 401ks. The report says that the average American family is going to spend $155,000 in fees over their lifetime in their 401ks. Consumer Reports, 401k Gotcha Fees, on and on and on. Here's a book called Common Sense Retirement, and this book is all about showing American families how to get 300% more net spendable income at retirement. So I'd like to ask you a question. 300% more retirement income, would that interest you? Is it worth taking an hour or two to learn about? Would you be willing to read a book? Pretty important stuff in my opinion, especially as I approach my retirement years. You think more about it. Professor Bert Malkiel out of Princeton came out and said, over time, if your 401k fees are just 2%, it's going to take half your retirement savings away from you. How do you feel about that? Giving half of your retirement savings to Wall Street. So the bottom line is we got a different way to go. I know that when you see the words life insurance, you go, yuck, I don't want to talk about dying, but I want to talk to you about life insurance with living benefits, with a whole bunch of different advantages that most people in America are not at all aware about. Living benefits are things like critical illness, a life insurance policy that covers you if you have heart attack, stroke, cancer, and a couple other things. Chronic illness, if you can't do 2 of the 6 daily living activities, you've got an opportunity to go into your death benefit and accelerate it and get money from your policy before you die. There's even a few places where you can get income from your policy that's going to be guaranteed for as long as you live. All of these at no additional premium, which is pretty good. So I want to ask you this. If you own life insurance right now, and if Dr. Sickness knocked on your door, heart attack, stroke, or cancer, would you rather get a check or would you rather get a get well card? Because here's the sad news. For 99.9% of Americans, you're not getting either one. Not to say that you've got a bad company, but to say that you own a low-tech life insurance policy, you got to die to get it. Well, the new modern policy, you don't have to die to get to be able to get to that death benefit, and that's kind of a big deal. The next question is well, I got a 401k. Well, if you're under 59 and a half and you get sick, and all your savings are in your 401k, how are you going to get to the money? What kind of penalties are you going to pay? Who are you going to pay the penalties to? How would you feel about paying a $5,000, $10,000 penalty on top of income tax to access your money pre-59 and a half? So it's important to understand that there are different ways to go. And when we talk about retirement, I want to ask you a couple questions. Are you concerned at all about outliving your income? Because you should be. Number 2, are you concerned about your 401k fees? You should be. Number 3, are you scared at all about market risk? Do you want your retirement dollars at risk? Well, that's something that ought to concern you, especially during distribution when you're already in retirement. Will Social Security be there? I think so. I hope so. But we've got a multi-trillion-dollar debt, and things are going to change in our future. We've never had this kind of debt before. And income. Would you be interested in a guaranteed lifetime income? I want to end by introducing you to a concept inside of a great product called Index Universal Life, and I want to show you real quick how indexing works. We're going to take $100,000, we're going to put it into the S&P January 1st of 1999. The first year the market returns 19.5%. You've got 119,500. The next 3 years the market goes down. You're back down to 71,000. 5 years of recovery, mortgage meltdown, you're back to 73,000. And at the end of 2011, you're up to 102,000 before fees. Okay? Well, with the indexing concept, what we're going to do is we're going to index your gains to the S&P, but you're going to have an opportunity to get the gains without the risk. What the insurance company is going to do is purchase call options, and when the market goes up, you're going to get part of the gain. In my teaching example, it's a 13% cap. So if the market goes up 19 the first year, you don't get it all, you only get 13, you're at 113,000. But as the market goes down in the next 3 years, you're locked in at 113,000. You've locked in your gains, and now we buy your options at a lower price. The next year the market goes up 26%. You got a 13% cap, so you're earning 13% on 113. You're up to 127. The bottom line is you didn't get hit in 2009, and over this 12-year period, you got 102 in the S&P versus 213. Which one would you rather have? That's kind of a dumb question, right? There's going to be fees on this side, and there's going to be fees on this side. I always thought certainly the fees in a life insurance contract are going to have to be more than in a 401k, using this as a 401k example. I was wrong. Long range, the fees on this side of the house are going to be lower. So if you could have this instead of this and pay lower fees, is that something you might be interested in learning more about? I urge everybody, get a copy of this book. Study the book. Learn what your alternatives are. Because I'm sure of this, with all of the government debt, do you want to pay more than your fair share of the deficits? I'm sure you don't. But here's my prediction, it's just my opinion. I predict that if you keep funding your 401k, in the long run, when you start taking that money out, you will end up paying more than your fair share of that debt. Thank you for being with me today. Bye-bye.